Say hello to my guest, Zhang, here at LSI 2023. Lou, thank you for coming by the studio.
Thank you for having me today.
So day 2 of LSI, you were on a panel today. How did that go?
The panel went very well. We have a really dynamic discussion about the future of medtech innovation. Last year was a very challenging year for lots of founders, but meanwhile, we also talk about the crisis come along with opportunity. So there's lots of discussion point about what founders should do to prepare for the future market, and also all this new opportunity brought in by AI and data embedded with the existing medtech innovation.
So are you seeing companies like that? I mean, you've got the Fusion Fund that you're here. Are you seeing companies that are bringing in the kind of innovation that you invest in?
Oh, yes, of course. Today on the panel, I also mentioned when we talk about in general digital transformation, one industry really needed most is the healthcare sector in general. And now with AI and data play, we could provide better and faster and even cheaper solution in the healthcare industry, meanwhile, highly personalized. So for us, we've been looking at the digital diagnostic, digital therapeutics, digital life science, and digital biology sector innovation within healthcare in general. And we're also lucky enough to raise a new $120 million fund Q1 last year before market crash. So very lucky timing. So we have lots of dry powder to deploy. So since last year, this year, we're now slowing down. We're continue supporting founder, we're continue identify top founder to help them to grow.
So in your Fusion Fund, what's the stage that you'd like to see entrepreneurs? What's your investment thesis?
Yeah, so we like to invest in early stage company, which also kind of relate to my background. I was an entrepreneur myself. So with the passion of really seeing the company from the beginning to get started, we also wanted to support them when their initial get start with commercialization. So seed round is the typical stage we invest. We invest $1 to $3 million when they're getting started. And meanwhile, I reserve 2x out to 3x of initial investment to support company continuously in the Series A round and B round. So it's not only just one check. We want to continue grow together with the founder.
Wow, that's a great thing to hear about it. I think many entrepreneurs forget that in these later rounds, you cannot have if you don't have a consortium around you, then you're looking to one investor to sort of see you all the way through. That investor may not have the backing, the financial capital.
Exactly. I think as you ask, different VC have different investment strategy. There's no right or wrong, it's just a different choice. But for us, have a bigger portion reserved for pro rata really help founder go through the difficult time. For example, last year and this year, we're discussing about this topic in the panel that lots of the new Series A round, B round, founder really need strong support from internal investor. The inside support also gives them stronger confidence to get new money. So having this reserve really help us attract lots of top founder to work with us.
The experience that you had as an entrepreneur, has that changed the way that you think as an investor?
I think so. That's also the motivation I start my own VC firm. It was not easy to start a brand new VC firm, especially back in 2015, consider there's so many established VC for being there like not 10, 20, but like 40, 50 years. But I really think at that time, after kind of went through the whole journey as an entrepreneur from beginning to the end, successfully sold my company, I was really thinking about what is the best approach for early stage investor to support founder, and also how to understand the life cycle. Specifically for deep tech and the healthcare company. They're very different from consumer company. So carry on all this knowledge and experience I had, I was able to really help first identify the right founder. Second, with our understanding of the life cycle, we could support them in the critical matters. And meanwhile, really leverage our resources and connection to help them to grow. For example, lots of founders think about, okay, fundraising important, we need to achieve like high valuation. One thing I always tell founders is, valuation is an illusion. The fundamental of your business is a revenue, is a partnership, is a commercialization. So that's been number one thing for us to support founder. We established a strong network called the CXO network. We have lots of CTO from Global 1000 company, including lots of healthcare company, work with us. So when we have company early stage, they're looking for partnership or contract from the large corporate. We could help them get a conversation done much, much faster.
That's incredible because I think for many of the entrepreneurs, like I look back 20 years ago when I committed myself to working in healthcare, many of the companies were, I'm going to figure out how to get up to FDA, and then it was usually an acquisition. Yeah. Even IPOs were not that common. Yeah. Well, now you're starting to find, I think we've got maybe 2 generations of entrepreneurs that don't know what happens, even when it gets into a strategic or beyond the strategic deploying into the healthcare system, into the provider networks.
Exactly.
So bringing all that forward, all of a sudden, if you had a product ready for the strategics, better capable of being deployed into the healthcare system, it seems like that's going to be a value proposition that will really get people excited.
Exactly. When we talk about, this is a digital transformation happening, large corporate are the one really panic because they realize it's not nice to have, it's must to have to integrate with technology, but it's actually take much more resources than capital to develop that in-house. So they try to be more robust and creative working with external startup. So from what we heard through our network, most of large corporate are thinking about we need to have our data strategy. And meanwhile, they're giving bigger budget to CTO or CIO, try to give contract or partnership with startup. This is all the new opportunity for founder to benefit from. Another thing you mentioned about IPO market, I think that's also another thing kind of potentially be accelerated by this digital play in the healthcare sector. For lots of medtech company, especially medical device company, most of the exit will be limited size merge acquisition. But now with the platform play powered by digital platform, you could bundle different device or different solution, make it a portfolio. So the total size of the company could be much bigger, even over $1 billion, make it very attractive candidates for IPO market. So we have portfolio company did so for like different cancer diagnostic, turns out to be a very successful example to build this platform play. And also I think that could be another trend to really diversify the exit opportunity for medtech company.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about how the digital transformation going into, I guess this consortium that's internal to the Fusion Fund, that you have health systems and strategics are all a part of that. So you're really getting insights from like the two main customers that these startups are going to have.
Yes. I think we built the CXO network. I launched it in 2018, really based on my past entrepreneur experience. I was thinking about what I really need. What is the gap there when I was working in the VC. So now with this network, as you said, we could clearly get a direct connection, close the contract much faster. And also for us, it's a good learning opportunity because as an investor, on one side, we need to evaluate technology and also execution the team. But one thing we really need to understand better is market timing. Technology has been there for a long time. Even when we talk about AI been there like 40, 50 years. But why now? It's really about market timing. Market timing is not only decided by the technology, but also decided by the major market player, their mindset, and also their system change, whether it's ready for integrate with technology. So that's all the knowledge we could learn from the industry leader and pass along to the founder. And meanwhile, with our knowledge and the research within the technology side, we share the report data with them. We're also kind of influence them, educate them to really encourage them to get along with the whole innovation ecosystem, find the most sustainable way to integrate the new technology to their corporate. And then essentially for the whole industry, we're going to enter into this digital transformation.
Some of my friends that are on sort of the leading edge or maybe the bleeding edge of digital therapeutics. So they're beginning to find a pathway within FDA. And so now you're beginning to find where they're learning more about the patient. And they have this, it's been very interesting to think about this digital, the digital products as engagement with the patient,
exactly.
Just to learn more about them. And then you get to this, maybe the digital didn't work. That's fine, but it probably opened a pathway for maybe two other diagnostic choices or therapeutic choices that maybe they didn't know them. So I think there's aspects to digital health that we haven't even explored yet.
You're so right. And also, I was on the panel in JP Morgan conference early this year, and we were talking about digital therapeutics, and now the FDA seems catching up. So you're saying more and more companies get FDA done for digital therapeutics company much faster. But on the other side, we're also looking forward to see the change on the insurance company side.
Yes.
How to get it reimbursed. On one side, definitely is also because they wanted to see more data points from the clinical trial in order to have strong market validation, they could reimburse the solution. But on the other side is also, really the mindset shift, be able to understand the value of the data provided by the digital therapeutics company. Because you're so right that all this digital platform will be able to connect all the dots used to be isolated within healthcare system. And all the large, no matter pharma company, healthcare company, they want to get patient engagement data. They want to understand how to provide more targeted, personalized medication, services, or even like therapeutic solution to different type of patient. Now we were able to connecting the dots.
I'll carry on with the example, which was in Crohn's disease. And there's like 3 main pathways. And using the digital solutions, you can begin to identify maybe a stronger probability or eliminate others. Even that is where before I think it was using surgeon intuition and maybe something from you just had a chance that would be right. And it seems like some of the digital platforms may be able to enhance that care decision.
Yeah, exactly. One of my strong passions really was in mental disease. And we didn't see too much of the progress in the mental disease the past 20 years. Now with the digital solution, especially AI, we could find a better correlation because different patients got certain mental disease for different trigger point. Progression will be different as well. Then they need personalized therapeutics plan. This thing could be done now without the digital platform. And also we're able to assembling all the data together, potentially for pharma company to provide better solution in the future.
So one of the advantages of COVID, if you will, was the advent of telehealth and telehealth becoming accepted just because we had to be remote. Do you see aspects of that for mental health and how mental treatment happens?
I think definitely there's lots of, in general, we didn't invest much in telehealth in general, but I can see that that's a really efficient way to collecting more relevant data. And meanwhile, for mental health, sometimes it's not just one point of diagnosis. You have to do continuous monitoring in order to get more precisely diagnostic. I think on that end, it's very helpful.
When you look at the investments that are made in the Fusion Fund across the sort of that array of digital health solutions, what's the trend that you see coming that everyone's going to benefit from?
Yeah, so digital therapeutics is the one thing we've been focusing on. And also, as we discussed early on, lots of good momentum on the regulator side. And also we see insurance companies are picking up. And digital therapeutics also was able to integrate lots of new technology into the traditional therapeutic solution. So that's the part we really like. And meanwhile, that's also a really interesting platform to potentially educate large corporate like pharmaceutical company to understand the value of the data and also invest more in the sector. Another 2 areas is the digital life science and digital biology. I'm personally super passionate about digital biology. Last year was AlphaFold by DeepMind. Now we have the protein folding structure of the 200 million protein in this universe, which is quite impressive. And this year, when people talk about generative AI going to have huge application in healthcare, especially in digital biology and also digital life science. We have company launched the first generative AI platform for life science industry already, and also for medical imaging, etc. So I think that's another area where we really spend lots of time on. But in general, go back to what I mentioned, generative AI. I know ChatGPT being created lots of buzzword and also even some bubble in the valley. But really within healthcare sector, we have a huge amount of high quality data, which generative AI need large language model to train. This is a perfect matching. And used to, we have lots of concern about data privacy, right? Because even we have a total number of the data is huge, but it's isolated from different hospital, healthcare service provider. We also have company focus on further learning. Further learning is a new also AI algorithm be able to protect the privacy of the sensitive data like in healthcare. And then the company could directly leverage tons of the data across different data owner and be able to train their model. So we have a company that's working with hundreds of hospitals right now. Be able to help them not only just share the data to benefit the AI company, but also help the hospital, the data owner to do monetization. So there's lots of good, innovation could benefit from the AI trend.
Yeah, last year the Biden administration passed the CHIPS and Science Act, revolutionizing pieces of National Science Foundation.
Oh yeah.
And broad, just sweeping changes that they want to make, not only for semiconductor, but I think there's huge upside
exactly,
for life
for healthcare.
Sciences.
Yeah.
And I look at this, and then you talk about data, and I think look at all the federal research dollars. And where is that data? And if we could just find a pathway to gather that, then everything coming out of our research institutions would come in with this, I don't know, data common denominator. I don't know what you want to call it. But it seems like that's, it's federally funded research, getting access to the data rights there.
Yes, yes. Actually, that's a really good topic right now. I do have friends from Stanford. They're working on nonprofit focused on the healthcare data, how to really have a third party be able to host all the data for a startup company or different corporate to use it. And further learning is a technology I mentioned and be able to have a technology solution to really reduce people's concern regarding the privacy. And I really want to echo what you mentioned about the strong push on the National Science Foundation and the National Institute of Health. I think now the new mandate there is to prioritize, sponsor, and supporting the project are more closer to commercialization versus used to be, okay, really whether you have the best technology, publish the best paper. Now it's very practical. I think that's a really good thing for healthcare innovation in general as well. Actually, one of my partners, Zhang, he was a former CTO at HP. He also was an advisor to the US president regarding the technology and the science innovation. And they also have a big contribution to the new policy regarding the NIH and the NSF.
Yeah, I welcome this. I was so excited whenever I started to read about this. And even inside of there, they focus on some of these big technology challenges. A lot of it's quantum computing and down inside the Department of Energy, clean fuels and those kinds of things. But then when you abstract up, it's manufacturing, AI, computing, all these things that are, as you mentioned, digital biology. That's a massive computing problem.
Yes.
And as we begin to have these new tools, bringing that and leveraging all this data that we have within the health system.
Yes, yes. It's really interesting you mentioned about the computing power is really critical because it is. When we're thinking about handling huge amount of high quality data, like empower AI, even for generative AI, for ChatGPT, the fundamental is really the computing power. While we're having conferences here, this week is also the NVIDIA GTC conference. And they're also talking about how they could further push the boundary of the computing, the chip capability in order to power the next generation of AI. So we definitely are looking forward to this brightening future of digital power, the healthcare industry, and also probably in general digital transformation across all different industry. And going back to the digital biology I mentioned, digital biology, people would think about the first application is within pharma, within healthcare. But digital biology also have huge impact in the food industry, in chemical industry. And even, for chemical industry, this is a good solution, potential help them to comply with ESG. So there are so many good consequences of leveraging technology right now.
Yeah, across so many different fields.
Exactly. Yeah, you can see when I talk about the tech, oh my God, I'm so excited because that's the reason I feel passionate about my work every single day because we're part of the great movement right now. We could potentially support and be part of the great company in the near future. Yes, now the general economy situation is not good, but as I mentioned earlier on, crisis come along with opportunity. And most of the great technology companies started during the economic downturn. And again, we're at the time that technology innovation is the only tool we could use to improve the productivity and also efficiency. Essentially, help us overcome this challenge of the economic downturn and move to the new era.
I got out of the Navy in 1995. I worked for Applied Materials. I was a semiconductor guy. And
I'm a material scientist, by the way. I was a material science from Stanford, so I know semiconductor and applied material science very well.
So it's crazy. I look back at how we made chips then,
yeah.
And then you fast forward, and now here, and that's the other reason I love the Chips and Science Act. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's the industry I started in when I left the military, and now here I am in healthcare, seeing these come together.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
All of the advancements. I mean, I don't think we could have imagined the fabrication technologies that are now becoming, of course we're going to do it that way. Such dense structures and complicated, the way that the interconnects are now happening. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and also on the other side, also the expert in healthcare sector also are impact on the technology trend like AI. I was literally talking to a friend this morning. I'm like, okay, if you look at the newer generation of the AI top scientist expert, most of them also have a neurology or neuroscience background.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, because that's very fascinating because they also try to figure out how does our brain work. Cautious, subconscious, in order to help them design and think about a better model for AI in the future.
Lou, thanks for coming by. I wish you every success with the Fusion Fund.
Thank you very much.
Blue Zhang, take 2, marker.